Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody. It's Jim. It's Amadeus. We're all in the house, and we're talking soccer, at least for a few minutes. And anyway, Amadeus, happy Tuesday. Anything going on that piques your interest today?
Yeah, well, there's obviously the big game on the board in the Premier League. The only one today is the Arsenal and Chelsea match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely Arsenal at home, and how it looks like is they're pretty much going to have to win every single match. So I think they only have like 5 left, but they're going to have to win every single match to the end of the season. And even if they do that, they got to sit there and hope Man City drops points along the way. So this is the title. The title is in control of Man City, but Arsenal, there's nothing they can do but win out the rest of their schedule, and even if they do, lose to Man City.
Well, that game, by the way, is on the USA Network if you're in the United States today, and also streaming on Peacock. So it's Arsenal today, 3 p.m. USA Network. Universal. Univisioro. Why can't I ever say it? It's the Spanish station, and also on Peacock. So if you're in the U.S. and you want to watch that game, that will be today at 3:00. Then and by the way, Manchester City will host West Ham tomorrow at 3:00, also on those same networks. So mark that on your calendar. One other thing, and that is Sunday's game between second place Arsenal and third place Newcastle will take place at 11:30 a.m. and also that's going to be same networks, USA and Telemundo. So if you haven't gotten your Arsenal fix, you will be having it by Sunday. So they're going to carry them all the way to find out how it works out, I guess, at this point. So that's what we're looking forward to over the next couple of days on TV and where to find them. So there you go on that.
Yep. And then for some of the other leagues, there's this Liga match today. It's really important for the not the title race, but the 2 Champions League spots in France, because PSG is probably going to get the 1. Mm-hmm. But right now, Lens and Marseille are in a battle. Lens is 4 points behind Marseille, but with this match in hand, so if Lens can win today, they'll be 1 point behind Marseille, and it'll be definitely a race for second place in France. So that's an important one for Lens. And then the Spanish league is pretty much over right now. Almeria's beating Elche 1-0, 35 minutes in. Barcelona and Osasuna are tied 0-0, but they already gave Osasuna a red card, so that one's over. And I got a free play on the under 2.5 in the Real Sociedad and Real Madrid match, just because, like I said, there's no urgency with this Real Madrid team. Barcelona's pretty much locked up the title. Real Madrid, they're going to be more focused on their Champions League now that they're in semifinals. That's the only thing they're really going to win that, and I guess Copa del Rey. But that's going to be the one they're focused on. This is a midweek match. They played on the weekend. They're going to be missing some key players as well, like Vinicius and a few others. So don't see a lot of goals for Real Madrid in this one. And Real Sociedad's a pretty good team. They've actually gone under 2.5 in 12 of their last 13. They got a good defense. So you can see a low-scoring game here for sure.
It's funny. I was just looking. What's trending on Twitter is Arsenal and Chelsea. So there you go, folks.
Yeah, people getting ready because Chelsea's in 12th right now. Believe it or not, they're 9 points above relegation. I doubt they get there by the end of the year, but hey, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you got to be kidding.
Because with 5 matches left, you got some of those bottom teams with 30 points. You win 3 matches, all of a sudden you're tied with Chelsea.
Yeah, it's like, it's we got problems in River City here. Yeah. But it is one of those things where you're just sitting there going, okay, let's make sure that we don't screw this up.
Yeah, and then since I guess all the leagues are kind of winding down in Europe now, mm-hmm. all the leagues pretty much have 4 or 5 matches left. Mm-hmm. So if you have any interest on this side of the planet, we actually got some good matches tonight too. There's a whole It's a whole slab of Copa Libertadores in South America today, tomorrow, and Thursday. And for the North Americans, we got the big semifinal second leg of the Philadelphia Union and LAFC in the CONCACAF Champions League.
Philadelphia and LA, huh?
Rematch of the MLS Cup last year, and so in the first leg last week, Philly. It was pretty even match. Philly didn't play very well. They got a penalty kick in the 82nd minute to go up 1-0, and then LAFC tied it in the 91st.
Wow.
So it's 1-1 on aggregate, going back to LAFC, which I believe they play at. I want to say BMO. I think it is.
What, you mean the building?
Yeah, I think it's BMO Park or something like that.
It's
the same one as Toronto FC.
It's the one where, it's the place where, it's where the Chargers played when they were out there waiting for the stadium to get.
Oh, did they play there? Well, hold on. I'm just gonna look into it. I'm curious of the it's BMO Stadium. It's always interesting for me to see a Canadian bank named after one of these American stadiums. It's always interesting for me to see.
There's all those others which are, for instance, what is it? The Scotiabank and there's Royal Bank of Canada, Royal Bank of England. They all have ties to the MLS.
Yeah, I've seen RBC. I think there's a hockey arena that's named after RBC, and obviously there's the TD Garden in Boston. So the Canadian banks are out there for sure. Sponsored a lot of these stadiums. Oh, and by the way, they renamed the FTX Arena. I don't know if we covered that.
Without consulting us?
I know it didn't even take you up on the what was it? What was the dome we had for that one? What did you come up with for that?
That was for the Heat played, right?
The Heat Dome, right? The Heat Dome.
Right.
Yeah, no, they went with the Kaseya Center.
The Kaseya Center.
Kaseya, like Kaseya. I think it's a name.
Yeah, it is.
Someone's name.
It's when you said Kaseya, that's actually a bug.
No. That's what I thought when you said it.
I'm thinking, why would they name it after that annoying bug that comes every 12 years?
Yeah, I was just saying those August bugs, right? And it's just make that noise.
They make noise and just drive you nuts. Yeah, which of course is kind of like the people in that area of South Florida. They do drive you nuts from time to time.
Would have been a good name.
I-95. So yeah, that would be good.
Here at the Kaseya Center.
Yeah, here's the Kaseya Center. So speaking of Miami, it looks like Boston and we've got Boston is out of the playoffs, against Miami, and now we got LeBron against Seth in the Steph Curry in the NBA playoffs. So we have some star power in the Warriors and the Lakers.
Definitely some star power there. It's gonna be an interesting series. That's for sure. I see a lot of people on the Lakers tonight. They've been rolling lately, so it doesn't surprise me.
I have a nephew who left. He lives in New York City, and but went out. He's from San Francisco area, so he took a couple of days off and flew out and sent me a picture from outside the Chase Center where he was going to see a game. I guess it would have been 6 of the Warriors series against Sacramento. So from the Chase Center, I got a picture of him waiting to get in to watch Game 6. So yeah,
watch him lose.
Yeah, fly a long way to watch him lose. But hey, participation. That's all you want. So yeah, it's gonna be fun series. It's gonna be fun. I mean, there's some very evenly matched, I guess would be the best way of putting it, teams in both the West and the East. So it's hard to get you would know, it's hard to get a feel for, who's really the favorite and who, is going to come out of this.
Yeah, definitely a lot of evenly matched teams. That's why home advantage is going to be so important in this round, I think. But yeah, it's definitely interesting because last night you had the 76ers win in Boston,
Mhm.
and they were a 10-point underdog because they were missing Joel Embiid.
Right.
But even without Embiid, obviously they showed that they're a very good team, and James Harden is used to
I was going to say,
carrying teams.
he's like, okay.
And that's the thing, right? Like Harden left Houston because they didn't want to have to put up 50 points a night
Right.
and carry the team every night through the playoffs. But
Right.
now, he this is like the perfect situation for him because now he's on a team where he's the second star.
Right.
And he's accepted his role because he does rack up a lot of assists. So he's definitely accepted his role. But at the same time, he got exactly what he wanted. You had a better player to carry you throughout the season. Now he's injured, and you get to truly shine by yourself. And there you go. He put up 45 points and led the team.
Well, I was going to say, they just say, just roll the ball over to me. I'll put up 40 plus for you. No problem.
Yeah, and I think people forget like that. Everybody sees him beat out, and they're like, "Oh, the Celtics are going to destroy." But Harden,
I got a text from somebody saying, Joel Embiid can't play, and I said, "Yeah, Harden can." So what are you worried about? It's you're right. I mean, he now gets to be what he likes to be,
exactly.
and scorer. And the thing is that James Harden can score 45 points, and it doesn't look like he's doing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing with him, right? Like he doesn't like to do it on a nightly basis. That's why he left Houston. But now you had somebody else carry you throughout the entire regular season, and now in the games that matter, you need to step up. And he's loving it because he still wants to show. Obviously, because a lot of people don't talk nice about him these days. But obviously he's out there to still show. We don't need Embiid. Okay, I'm still here, and we're gonna win the games.
Well, the other thing that I find interesting with him is that he's got a better cast of characters in Philadelphia than he's had in Houston. And if he decides, okay, wait a minute, I don't want to take this shot, he's got people he can toss it to who know how to take a shot. So he doesn't have to carry the team. He can, and it's good to have a guy like that. But if he needs, a supporting cast, I think his supporting cast in Philadelphia is a whole lot better than that group that he had in Houston.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? That's another thing. The Celtics, if you really watched their last series, they were great in the first two games. They started to struggle on the back end of that series against the Hawks. And you can say what you want about the 76ers without Embiid, but even without Embiid, they still have more talent than the Hawks do.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
So if the Hawks can give the Celtics trouble, the 76ers without Embiid will be fine.
Yeah, they're going to be okay. And I like their jerseys now. It just says Phila. It doesn't, I guess there's not enough room to put Philadelphia on there.
Just Phila.
Yeah, I do like the. I don't know if you've seen it, but the alternate jerseys that they have for the Warriors. It has the circle with the golden, the Golden Gate Bridge in it, which is the one that it normally would have. But above it says the city, which I think is really a cool jersey, secondary jersey. There are some. I don't know if you've seen in Major League Baseball many of them, or any of them for that matter. But there's some pretty wacky secondary uniforms that I can't quite figure out.
Yeah, baseball, it's tough for me to follow because they have so many jerseys, right? Like every team's got the white jersey, the colored jersey, the gray jersey. So, and then obviously there's these alternates. So really, like every baseball team has a standard 3 jerseys, which makes sense because if you're playing 3 to 4 game series, you don't want to wear the same jersey in a series. Right. But yeah, definitely when you have so many jerseys already, then you can get a little creative with those alternates. I haven't seen it quite, but I know like the Blue Jays have a red one, for example. It's our Canada one.
I really like I like the White Sox have a really it's an all black uniform. That part's a little disconcerting because everybody looks like they're playing softball. But anyway, it's a black jersey, but in script writing across it, it's South Side, and you're like, that's cool.
I think I've seen that one actually.
That one's
I think
cool.
I have seen that one.
I was flipping around trying to check in on some games last night, and I got to a point where I didn't even recognize the jersey. I'm trying to figure out who am I watching here, and it was Houston. They have a blue jersey. Okay, it's all blue pants, and in orange across there. It says Space City. Now it took me
That one I've seen.
it took me the better part of 10 minutes to figure out what that said on the jersey because they didn't give me a nice clean shot of it. But yeah, Space City.
That I've definitely seen. I know they love to play that angle because obviously,
Yeah.
ground control to Houston. You're the Astros. You get to play up that angle as much as you can.
Well, the funny thing is is they've got those. Remember the old '80s jerseys where there was Astros and there was multicolors across the chest of the jersey. There's like
Those ones, I actually don't know if I've seen those.
Okay. That one was the Nolan Ryan era jersey for the Astros. They took that and they made those into the socks. So when they take the long shot and you see those socks, you're like, whoa, man, my eyes have to refocus. The San Francisco once decided that it would be a good idea to have fog kind of like come up to like halfway. So you only see about half the number on the back of the jersey. And you're like, I had some guys friends of mine, play-by-play guys are going, I have no idea who this is. I'm looking down there and looking for a jersey number. I can't tell what the jersey number is.
You know what? I haven't seen that jersey yet, but I've heard a lot of things about it, mainly about why would you play up the haze? It's not even real fog, right? It's just
in that case it's haze, yeah.
It's just kind of a haze that sits over the city all the time. So like why you would decide to play that angle on your jersey was something that I questioned when I heard about it, but I'm definitely gonna have to check out the jersey.
Well, I mean, in the old Candlestick Park, and I did some games out there. It was literally water was it was on a peninsula, and so you would get fog rolling in pretty early, and so there were games where there were guys that lost the ball in the fog, so it could happen. So yeah, I get the fog part, but do you have to put it on the jerseys where we can't see what you're doing?
Yeah. No, that's what I mean, right? Like, why would you? It's just it's a weird thing to like advertise. Like, we're the city of fog, and we want you to know it. Like, it's not something that would be like if the Marlins decided to do like a Florida Man jersey or something like that. Like, is that the angle you want to play up? Really?
There's the San Diego Padres have pink and green.
Actually, I think I've seen those ones.
So you've got this white jersey. It's got pink lettering on it.
It's like a forest green, right?
No, it's a very light green. It's kind of like the green that we have in our graphic. So you've got your green graphic. I mean, your green color on the side, and you're just like, it's not the Padres. The Padres have never had any of this. I mean, this isn't even their color scheme. The Dodgers have those blue. It's all blue, and then the Dodgers are written down like on the side.
Oh,
so
like the Hurricanes have their
canes
or whatever.
Exactly. So you're like,
which they stole from the Rangers that used to have.
Yeah,
the Rangers down across.
Well, speaking of the Rangers, they took a hit last night, and it was 4-0 to across. We were joking that they could drive across the bridge. Well, they drove across the bridge back. there was, I don't know if you saw it, but on social media, there's a great post. Liam Neeson had done something for the Rangers, basically from that Forgiven movie, where he is basically telling people that he has amazing skills, that he can kill people, all that sort of thing. Well, he took a riff off of that, and he goes like halfway through, and I'm the New York Rangers. Well, of course, 5 seconds later, after that was done, they the Devils went and got one of their fans who was this guy who used to be on Seinfeld, who constantly used to paint his face and be the Devils fan. So they brought him back, and when the phone call was being made, they spliced him into it and said, "Excuse me, who is this? Oh, the Rangers?" He goes, "You'll be looking for the golf course. That's where you want to be calling, not here." So, they're throwing shade back and forth at each other. But hey, it is what it is.
Like some of these teams, when the Rangers had a bad period, they really had like a bad first period, kind of got them off to a bad start to the game. And, that's one where I would have definitely used the golf angle myself as a coach. I would have walked in there and I would have been like, "So what golf course do you guys want to play next week?" Because that's what you're playing like right now. And maybe that would have sent a message. Obviously, I don't know what was said in the locker room, but they didn't look any better throughout the entire night. They were sloppy all over the ice. It was very bad.
It was like it's the old line from Airport. You picked a bad day to have a bad day.
And they finally broke Akira Schmid open for 5 goals in the last game. And, you have a chance to really pounce down on his confidence. Like, I'm speaking as a former hockey goalie, but that was the perfect spot for you. You just finally broke this guy you couldn't solve for 3 games. Now the floodgates are open, and you let him shut you out the next game with a bounce back performance like that. So, yeah, definitely the Rangers deserve to go home the way they played last night.
Absolutely. And, the Devils were kind enough to put them out of their misery. So there you go.
I don't know if they'll get back past the Hurricanes, though.
Yeah. Well, you take them one at a time. It is what it is. This is they're calling this in baseball the rivalry week. Now, I'm not totally sure how that plays, over the weekend. I don't necessarily think that some of these games are rivals, but there's going to be some interesting games coming up in the weekend. There will be definitely some rivalry. By the way, over the weekend, it's going to be on Thursday. That's right. Where we are here. Just checking real quick. Oh yeah, starting tonight. That's what I'm looking for. Starting tonight, the 2 best teams in baseball, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Tampa Bay Rays, starting a 3-game series at the Trop.
Did you think you'd be saying that statement at the beginning of the season? The 2 best teams in baseball, the Pirates and the Rays.
You might have been able to sell me that the Rays might be a game up on somebody, but you wouldn't have been able to sell me on the Buckeyes. That would not have registered. Now, there's a nice little mini rivalry that'll be played this weekend, and that's the Rays and the Yankees.
I was going to say, if there's no Yankees Red Sox, then it's not really rivalry weekend, is it?
Well, but really, and this is to me, and I'm an old school baseball fan. The real rivalry, in baseball that I think is underlooked or overlooked is the Giants and the Dodgers. I mean, that goes all the way back to when they played each other in New York. And the fascinating thing to me, I did some research on this a while ago, and of the record, and they've been playing against each other since the early 1900s, right? There's only a 10-game difference between the Dodgers winning 10 more games against the Giants than the Giants winning against them, winning against them. So it's really, to me, quite a interesting situation that those two don't really get. I mean, because they're out on the coast, so people don't really, pay much attention to it. But
Yeah, well, definitely with the dominance the Dodgers have had in the last few
Mhm.
years, that is definitely they must have been losing that series before they got really good over the last like 5 or so years.
well, and the funny thing is, if you look at the postseasons, especially the ones let's say last 10 years. I mean, the Dodgers won the division, but the Giants would win the World Series. So, that was kind of an interesting little tidbit too. So those are, the Red Sox and the Yankees have gotten kind of like over the years, it's kind of like petered out a bit because Boston then won their World Series, and so they're that part. So they're more annoying than they are rivals anymore. But the Giants and Dodgers, they don't like each other, and the Dodger fans and the Giant fans definitely don't like each other, and so it's really been quite the battle out there. The Cardinals and the Cubs are another good rivalry that they dislike each other and don't get along.
Well, going back to the Giants and the Dodgers one, it's always nice to have a good rivalry that's like where the cities are pretty close like that
Yeah.
in the same
A
state.
regional thing, yeah.
Yeah, you could drive from one city to another, right? Like,
That's that's what you want, and that was what the Cubs and the Cardinals. I mean, they're not that far from each other. St. Louis and Chicago aren't that great a distance, and but again, the Cardinals basically had been a long time since the Cubs had won a World Series. Cardinals had won a whole bunch, so that one was one of those like Yankees and Red Sox. It was a one-sided series, but the Giants and the Dodgers was really never a one-sided. So that was kind of fun. But I don't know. Do you have a rivalry that you like in any sport?
a rivalry that I like.
I mean, what I'm saying is it's a rivalry that you will. I'm not going to say appointment television. In other words, you're gonna throw off everybody else. But if you know those two teams are playing, you want to see it.
Well, probably to me the best rivalry in North American sports would be the Leafs and the Canadians.
Uh huh.
Yeah, so there's two original six teams going.
Mhm.
So that's another one that goes back like 100 years. Two
Right.
oldest franchises, the two that have won the most Stanley Cups in history, and it doesn't matter. Like as you saw this year, like the Leafs could be at the top of the standings and Montreal at the bottom, or vice versa. They always get up to play each other. Another one actually I find interesting to watch is the Leafs in Ottawa because the Leafs don't really view Ottawa as a
Thing.
rival, but Ottawa views them as a rival because obviously they're in the same province, and
Sure.
the Sens always win. You can make some money on the Sens playing the Leafs because the Leafs simply don't get up for them. So that is a rivalry I do like because I always know to take the Senators.
You know what to do with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's those kind of rivalries like in college football, right? You'll have Ohio State and Michigan are rivals, okay, in the Big Ten. Michigan State is not a rival to Michigan. I mean, they treat them like their little brother. It's like, well, okay, fine, you got to play them. But that's the kind. It's the same thing with Georgia and Florida, the world's largest cocktail party. Florida thinks Georgia's their rival. FSU, Florida State, thinks Florida's their rival, and it's like, nah, not really. I will say the rivalry, and it got going. It didn't start until the late '80s, early '90s. Was FSU and Miami, because Miami with the U and FSU with Bobby Bowden and that team up there. Those were usually whoever won that was usually in the top 4 or 5 in college football. Because they just recruited the hell out of each other and kept kids in the state. Had some outstanding games. The old wide right, wide left. It seemed like every time Florida State would come down to a field goal and the guy would miss it either left or right. So those are kind of some interesting rivalries from that standpoint. But You know,
Another one I like is my Sharks and the Golden Knights, but that's
Oh,
not
okay.
even a rivalry anymore.
it's a new one.
Just the Sharks are garbage. Well, it was a new rivalry
Mhm.
back in 2018 when Vegas came into the league and they were so good, and we had to beat them out of the playoffs just to go lose to Sidney Crosby in the Stanley Cup final. But ever since the Sharks signed William Karlsson, it's been the entire downfall of their whole, or not William Karlsson, what's Eric Karlsson? I can't even remember the players on my own team now. We gave away Timo Meyer to the Devils earlier this year. Jonas Donskoy was on that team. Joe Pavelski. That's why I got a soft spot for the Stars and the Hurricanes, because the Hurricanes have my guy Brent Burns, who was my favorite player on that team, and the Stars have Peter DeBoer, who I loved when he was coaching the Sharks, and obviously Joe Pavelski. So I think they have Donskoy too. I'm not 100% sure where a lot of these players went, but I've been a Sharks fan basically since the starting line was Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, and Danny Heatley. So those were the days. But definitely the signing of Karlsson, that was the downfall, because that was their last year. They were good. They had to win the cup that year. They missed their window. And then after that, they didn't have enough money to sign everybody else, and they ended up hemorrhaging all the players. Joe Pavelski was the first domino to go, and now I don't even recognize the team if I look at it.
So, it's funny from that standpoint. We were talking the other day about Oakland, right, and the A's. About a decade ago, it was maybe a little longer, maybe 15 years ago, the A's had a deal to move to San Jose, where basically there would have been a baseball park right across the street from what now is where the Shark Tank is, and for some reason, don't ask me why, the Giants said that was their territory, and baseball backed them. Now, remembering that the Giants was going to move into a brand new stadium, they had nothing to lose there, but they didn't want, there's a lot of money in San Jose. It's right there in the middle of, the tech corridor. But had they moved, you would wonder how successful would the A's have been had they been allowed to move down there, where, the population and the money, would have assured them, if nothing else, of a pretty solid attendance situation.
It's interesting because San Jose, they don't have a lot. They have the Sharks and they have the Earthquakes in the MLS, and other than that, you got to be an LA fan in a lot of these other sports. That is LA, San Francisco, or San Diego, something like that, right? So,
they're 2 hours south of, well, not quite 2 hours, but they're south of San Francisco. They're 2 hours if you're driving, yes, not in distance, but yes, in time.
So a 2 hour drive, that I think that's a respectable distance away. I don't see the problem there, but I guess the Giants are the Giants, and the older.
Yeah,
the older franchise, I believe.
But if you're gonna make successful franchises in, the Yankees and the Mets stadiums are not that far. The White Sox and the Cubs stadiums aren't that far. Anaheim and the Dodgers. The irony is that Washington and Baltimore, Washington's National Park is actually 3 miles closer to Oriole Park at Camden Yard than Anaheim is to Los Angeles. So, it is what it is. But yeah, when you've got two teams sharing, a city or a region, you would think that baseball would want them both to be successful. And the only way that was going to happen was if they got the team out of Oakland. And, it just never happened. So we'll see if they go to Vegas or how that works out. But
looks like they're going to go to Vegas. And now I'm hearing talks about expanding the MLB to Nashville or Portland.
Yeah. Okay.
Possibly Nashville and Portland.
Well, they would have to do that because they would have to have two teams. One,
Yeah, you got to have an even number. Don't do it like the NHL where it's like, okay, we're bringing Vegas this year and Seattle to 5 years later.
5 years later, let's you got to bring them in. You got to bring them in so you can have an even situation. And baseball's wanted to be at 32 teams for a very long time.
Well, what's 32? NFL's 32.
Yeah.
I think NHL's 30,
Mhm.
and the NBA is 30.
Yeah.
Okay, so they want to be like the NFL, which I guess kind of makes sense. They'd have to redo the divisions though, because right now it works 5-5-5-5. So
yeah,
they'd have to go more to the NFL, like a divisions of 4 or 6.
right, which wouldn't be bad. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Portland doesn't have the money to have a Major League Baseball team. My guess would be they would look. You got to have one West and one East. My guess would be, and that's just a guess, it would either be Austin, Texas, which has popped up from time to time, and or Salt Lake City.
Wait, where did the Rangers play? Did they play in Austin or this?
Dallas.
Oh, okay, they play in Dallas. Okay.
They play technically in Arlington, which is where
Arlington's right.
where Jerry is. Jerry World is in Arlington. Arlington is, for those of you who are not geographically familiar with Texas, kind of right between Dallas and Fort Worth. So, which is, they're not far from each other, but it's kind of like a regional thing.
Actually, I did hear possible talks about even Vancouver. Maybe if they don't give it to Portland.
Surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's just like the NHL, you get that Seattle rivalry.
I know that baseball would love if they could figure out a way to get back to Montreal. They would love that. But I don't, unless Montreal is willing to put up the money, there just isn't an owner that's willing to go into the pocket and pull it out and go for
They
it.
are the worst city, because they'll never put up the money for it, but also the fans will moan and complain about losing their team or wanting a team, and as soon as they get one, they won't support it. That's what the problem is with Montreal. They will not support the team.
I had a friend there who I used to do radio 5 days a week on their Team 990 or Team 690, I forget what it was, in Montreal, the morning show. And and I was told that unless you're wearing a Montreal Canadiens jersey, okay, forget it. Doesn't matter what the sport was, they'll fill the building if it's the Canadiens. But anything else, don't ask me.
And it's a perfect example of the Canadiens, because that was why the Quebec Nordiques failed.
Mhm.
Everybody moans and complains around here about, if they're going to give an NHL team, why Seattle and Vegas? Give it back to Quebec. They don't deserve one, because as soon as you put a team back in Quebec, if you bring the Nordiques back, they will just say, no, I'm a Canadiens fan. I'm not going to support that team, and they'll fail again. That's why, honestly, stay away from that province. If you're going to expand, you're better off doing it out west.
Mm-hmm.
You really are. Because Toronto obviously is a big hub, but we have a basketball team, we have a baseball team, and we're the only teams that have that. Now, obviously, we have hockey all across, but for those other major sports, we're the only Canadian city that has one. So I say give Vancouver a baseball team, give Vancouver a basketball team back, because these fans are desperate. They're driving to Seattle to watch games. They will support the team in Vancouver. Absolutely.
Well, they would have supported, I think, the Grizzly if they had given him time.
Yep.
And for some reason, the owner there just didn't give him time. And of course, he lived in Memphis, so he decided, that's where they wanted. Same reason that Seattle lost a basketball team. There was no reason for Seattle to move. It was just a matter of they weren't getting a new building, and so the owners who were from Oklahoma City said, "Well, then we're going to Oklahoma City."
Yeah. To be fair to Memphis, I think Tennessee is a great state to go to, because they're the kind of state that they support their teams. Doesn't matter what. They get a team and they support the hell out of it. So if I were the MLB, I wouldn't expand at all. But if you're going to force an expansion, Nashville and Vancouver are the two best ones,
I
assuming
would-
Oakland's
I
going to
would
move to
doubt-
Vegas.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. I think that Nashville's a great city, a lot of stuff to do. I mean, and reasonably, reasonably inexpensive. I mean, it's not expensive. It's we usually joke that it was kind of like it's Atlanta back in the '80s because it's nice to go there. And now, if you try to get into Atlanta, forget it. It's not that Atlanta's bad; it's just you can't get there from here because of the traffic. But Nashville's a great area, and I have no doubt that they would support baseball. They've done a very good job with their minor league baseball team there. They really, and this is what blows me away. They love two sports which I would never in my wildest dreams would have thought, that part of Tennessee would have warmed up to. One is hockey. I mean, they have got rabid hockey fans.
They love their Predators.
They love the Predators, and they love that soccer team.
That's why I'm saying they will support the baseball team. They love their sports teams for some reason. Like St. Louis.
They showed up in big schedule, in big droves, and I love the this year they opened the new stadium, the soccer stadium, and they all were wearing the black jerseys, and the black jerseys had Elvis Presley's name in the back of the collar or the jersey, and you could buy the jerseys, and it was and they actually had some of Elvis's bandmates at halftime that they brought on to to give the king his due. But no, Nashville is a very cool town, and it's for baseball. I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't support them because they've done everything they've done there. They've supported. They've supported the football team. They've supported the hockey team, and now they're supporting a soccer team. And again, like I said, I could have understood the football side of it because Tennessee's football crazy, but I love the fact that they enjoy and go out and just absolutely, they are manic for everybody in Nashville has a Predators jersey.
Yeah.
And now everybody in Nashville has a soccer jersey. And it's like, this is crazy, but it is what it is. Same thing in Carolina. If you go there to Charlotte, forget it. I mean, it's a very transient area in Charlotte, but what they call the Research Triangle, where North Carolina and Duke are, they're always they love Carolina Hurricanes. They are there. It's funny because the only thing that you can get Duke and North Carolina fans to agree on is going to the hockey.
The Hurricanes. Go watch the Hurricanes.
Yeah, the Hurricanes. But when it comes to North Carolina and Duke, no, they won't go to that, but they'll go that in their own way, but not to the. That's regional rivalries are fun.
Yeah, those were the two examples I was thinking of when I said Nashville would be a good baseball city because they support. It's so weird that they support their hockey and soccer teams so well. That shows me they'll support the baseball team if you put them there.
And if you look at, I mean, why would if you've been to Vancouver, why wouldn't you want to go back? I mean, it's a beautiful city.
It's so nice. I just went there for the first time last year. It's so nice.
And it's just and the people are fantastic, and it's an international city. I mean, it's just a gorgeous place. I would not, and you're right that the rivalry between the Mariners really don't have a rival because they're so damn far from everybody.
And that's the thing. I know a lot of people in BC. I got a lot of friends in BC, and they all hate the Blue Jays. They're Mariners fans. So give them a baseball team to support.
Right.
Okay, get an instant rivalry, and you'll have the team supported.
Right, and then you'll have that Kraken rivalry with
I know Canucks fans that are like, I'd rather be a Kraken fan. The Canucks are so bad.
Oh, okay. Well, that I can't help you with,
but that's my point. It's like you'll get to support in Vancouver. Put a team in Vancouver.
My friend Dave Sims does the Mariners broadcast, and he's telling me, he says, I can't tell you how many Canadian fans we have. He says, man, we just they love us, and he goes, there are times we get more, I guess they're on TV there somehow. They definitely are on radio there. I know that much. But
Somewhere in the city of Seattle, they're on TV.
oh no, I'm just saying somewhere in city of Vancouver.
Yeah, definitely. Same way I get Buffalo and Detroit stuff.
Right. So they're getting it. But yeah, he was telling me, he said, I love it because people come up to me all the time. And,
usually when the Blue Jays go down there, they're like half the stadium. Blue Jays jerseys. So.
So yeah, it's crazy. But you see a lot of Blue Jay jerseys in Detroit.
We travel. That's why Toronto has a team in every sport, because we support our teams.
That's right.
Okay, but they don't want to give any other city. Give Vancouver one. They'll support it the same way.
I thought Toronto's. If you were talking about those alternate jerseys, I thought the ones that said the North on it was pretty cool.
Actually, I haven't seen those ones yet, but
very
I'm sure I
good.
will at some point.
So anyway, all right. Well, we've gone through fashion today. We've gone through relocation of sports. We've run
All
the
the
game.
keys.
What's that?
All the keys: fashion, relocation.
Right, exactly. We'll get into food in another. Where do you stand on poutine?
I mean, it's
a dish.
Basically, poutine is everything here. You can make anything a poutine.
I'm sorry?
You can make anything a poutine up here. You can put like sawdust and wood for bricks, and it's a poutine.
Poutine. As long as it has the right cheese curds in it, yes. So, okay. Well, we'll stay off poutine then for a while. But
just like how Americans have like fried everything, fried ice cream, fried whatever, we have poutine everything. Like name a food and it's been poutine.
I think I draw the line. There was a they call them carnival eats. I saw once where somebody had deep fried Oreos. I think I draw the line at deep fried Oreos. I think.
Yeah, I saw the deep fried ice cream once, and I was like, they brought it up here, and I was like, I can't.
It was weird, but it was.
Yeah, you got hot and cold.
Yeah, you just. I don't even know how they. Well, they take it and they wrap it in panko, but it's breadcrumbs. So in this case, they did it in basically in graham cracker crumb, and they deep fried it for like 30 seconds till it got crunchy, and it was interesting, but I wouldn't necessarily. I don't like ice cream, but I wouldn't necessarily want it every day.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. So anyway, any passing thoughts before kickoff here in a couple of minutes?
Go enjoy the games.
There you go. Go enjoy the games. Have fun. We will be back tomorrow. Maybe with Sean. We never know. We never know before they'll be here, but we'll do our best. So for Amadeus, I'm Jim. Have a nice day, guys.